Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We're going to start here in about 30 seconds, so if you want to take a seat, now's the time. All right, welcome everybody. My name is John Leipelt. I'm the chair of the D2 Neighborhood Leadership Group. I want to welcome you to the District 2 City Council Candidate Forum. I'm sure you know the two candidates, Pamela Campos and Joe Lopez. So one of these two will be your next City Council member. We have these District 2 flyers, D2 MLC flyers. For those of you who don't know what we do, on your way out, please grab a flyer, a lot of valuable information. We're here to help you when you need our help. Questions. We already have about 20 pre-planned questions, but if you have a question, grab a 3x5 card, fill it out, and Kevin in the back in the purple shirt will grab your card, and if we have time to get to your question, we will. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for being here. Gloria Hu is our moderator, and I'm going to turn it over to her, and she will explain how we're going to go.
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight. As John said, my name is Gloria Chen Hu. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and I'm so proud to have my colleagues here joining. If all the League members can just raise their hands. And a little self-promotion, back there is our membership table. We would love to invite all of you to become League members at some point. Because the League is probably one of the most trusted membership organizations in the political arena. We really are striving for, and we've been around since suffrage, because we knew at that time that women needed to have good information to make good decisions when they vote. So that's where the League starts, and we continue to do that. We're concerned about good government and engaging voters like yourselves. Another important piece about the League, which is very different from many other organizations, is the League never supports or opposes any political candidate or political party. That's for you to make decisions on. But the League is a political organization because we look at issues and policy and we take positions on those. And so we're equally concerned about, for example, what's on your ballot. I kind of have to remind people that the League has two parts of it. I'm here tonight as part of our voter education, totally nonpartisan, non-advocacy type role. And we also have another arm that will give you what's called pros and cons about ballot measures. That's not purely voter education. But I also wear another hat, especially at the State League, where I do action and advocacy. So, but we keep the two kind of separate. So we are very clear that this is something that, a policy position that the League believes in, but we can give you both sides of it. And so I'm here today to help us try to decide and help you decide which of these two fine candidates you would like to best represent you at City Council. Before coming here, each of the candidates read the League rules. They will abide by them. They both agreed to that. And what we try to do at these forums is, it is really about the issues, things you care about, and not lambasting one another. Some of the political rhetoric has gotten very poor, I think, in the environment. And it's really, that's not how we elect people. It's not because someone says something bad about them or digs up dirt or makes false statements. It's really about what is it this person believes in and will do as a representative for you in the City Council. And I'm reminded that all politics is local. Some of you long-timers remember Janet Gray Hayes. She was the first female manager, not only of San Jose, but the first in the country, female of a major city. Janet Gray was a League member, I'm proud to say, and I like to think she got her policy, understanding public policy as important while she was with the League, and 10 years later became mayor. Well, what was important, I think, about that is she got interested in politics because as a young mother, there was a street that her children had to cross every day to get to school, and she felt it was unsafe and wanted a street light. Well, it didn't happen right away. 14 years later, street light. But that's what it's all about. It is about those things that affect your lives, our lives, most immediately. There can be a lot of hullabaloo at the national level, and that's important. But you know that what mostly directly affects you is going to be what's happening here in San Jose at the City Council. So I'm pleased that we have this kind of debate, that opportunity for our two candidates so you can choose, see how they react to your questions and see what they're saying. I should note that we are videotaping tonight's forum, and the session will be available through the League's website and on social media. And so when not only you, but other people in the district are trying to decide who to vote for, this tape will be available. Let me introduce our two candidates. I think you know them. On the left, Mr. Joe Lopez. Next to him, other candidate, Pamela Campos. And basically, important ground rules. Each candidate will have a minute to answer the questions. They each have 2 rebuttal cards that they can use if they want to rebut after the goal statement, and that's a 30-second rebuttal. Closing statements will be 90 minutes, so you'll have that at the very end. And I think, I'm sorry, the 90 seconds. A minute and a half. Thank you. You're good. I like the writing session. And we do have a timekeeper, Sharon, if you would show people, yep, these are the cards, and then the vicious one is the one that's in red that says stop.
Yeah, that's important. Hold on, let me see if I can stop it.
And we have our question screeners here on the right, where we will check all the questions before they come to me. So we're trying to make sure that these are questions that are not designed to be for or against any one candidate. So let's not begin. This is the time. And we'll start with, go ahead. Joe, you're there with your opening statement. A minute.
Well, I guess I'll get used to this mic. Well, thank you all for coming here tonight. I want to thank the District 2 leadership groups and the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight. And I want to thank all of you for coming and taking time out from your busy schedule to listen to us. And I want to thank my opponent for also being here tonight. My name is Joe Lopez. I've been a 50-year resident of this community. I'm a native Californian, having been born in Los Angeles and raised in the Salinas Valley. I moved here in 1970, started a career in law enforcement, and retired as a sheriff sergeant in 2009. I'm running for office for the District 2 City Council because of my concern for the issues in this particular district. The loss of law enforcement personnel and the need to get more police officers out there to respond to calls and patrol our streets are imperative. And I ran out of time.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Pamela Campos, and I was born and raised here in San Jose, the daughter of a working-class immigrant family. As a preschool teacher, I served our community in a system that isn't working for our children, our parents, and our educators. I began a career in policy and advocacy to take part in the change that is needed in our community, and now I'm running for city council because it's time to stop talking about change and it's time to start implementing change. As your next council member, I want to stop and prevent homelessness by building housing in the places where it makes sense along our business and transit corridors at all levels of affordability so that families like mine can stay in this city. My experiences growing up in San Jose, working in state and local policy for the past decade has prepared me to tackle our city's biggest issues, and I look forward to discussing that tonight with you all.
Thank you both. Let's ask you, both refer to some of the issues that you're interested in. And I will say that I've got questions that most of you submitted ahead of time and they've been reviewed. Can you just tell us, once you take office, what would be your top priority if you became a city council member? We'll start with you, Ms. Campos.
So much for this question. My number one priority is housing. So right now, San Jose has a huge housing crisis that we can see on our streets with folks living in tents, living on RVs, but also myself, as part of the millennial generation, 24% of us who live in San Jose still live at home with our parents, myself included. And so our city has not built enough housing to meet the demand of our current population, and we feel it. And it's the #1 issue that I hear when I'm at the door talking to voters. And so every day I want to work on policies. I want to work with our partners to make sure that we are addressing housing. I want to look for solutions that aren't going to cost us as taxpayers another cent, because we've paid a lot into finding solutions for this problem. And there are solutions that we can take at all levels of government, but especially with the city council, and I look forward to working on that issue every single day if elected.
Mr. Lopez?
The issues I feel that are most prevailing are crime, blight, the homelessness in our district, and all the other issues surrounding the homeless that are camped along our streets and sound barriers. Just to be clear, there are a number of issues in this district that are facing our citizens as well as the city as a whole. One of the most important things that I see that just recently came up is the lack of transparency on an issue regarding Bernal Road and Monterey Road, where they want to put inmates, replace the homeless with inmates. I think that's a dangerous proposal. I'm totally against it. I'm geared for public safety. That's what I did for 35 years. That was my job. And I think that's the #1 issue prevailing in this district. Homelessness, and as well as affordable housing is also important. But I think the safety of our citizens prevails above everything else. If it's not safe and if it's not clean, it doesn't matter how many homes you build.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. That actually touches upon the next question. What is your plan to enforce the push to remove the unhoused from encampments? As you know, the city is under some pressure to remove the unhoused from encampments. What is your plan to enforce that push, while at the same time providing compassion, kindness, and housing? Mr. Lopez? Yes.
District 2 is in a unique situation because of the housing that we have allowed ourselves to be built in our district. We're a very compassionate district, and we've proven that by the housing that we have allowed into the district, but I think we've done enough. My plan for the homeless, the voluntary homeless who refuse to enter into any programs or go into housing, is to provide them and offer them some of the housing that would be coming up, Monterey and Branham, the extension of Rue Ferrari. The other housing units that are going up online in the South San Jose should be geared for those residents that are out there on our sound walls and on our streets. We will offer them an opportunity to take that housing, and should they not take it, then it's my intention to do an abatement program and clear the district, I'm sorry.
Ms. Lopez, Ms. Campos, same question.
So to address this issue that we're facing, it's going to take a cross-sector approach. It's going to take working with our county, our state, and our federal partners to make sure that we have funding for the infrastructure and also the services that it requires to address homelessness, because this is an issue that is not just a city issue, but it requires creating strong linkage systems between the people who need services and the agencies that are providing those services, whether it is the county or nonprofit agencies. And so making sure that we are working to better coordinate those services, making sure we have accountability from our partners, and using a person-centered approach so that people aren't just cycling in and out of services, but that we are actually helping people towards economic mobility and putting them on a trajectory that is going to stabilize them and keep them housed permanently, instead of continuing to cost taxpayer funding for services that we are using to try to help folks.
Thank you. Both sort of a follow-up on a question that actually, to some extent, Mr. Lopez, you addressed briefly. But let me ask you both this. And we'll start with you, Ms. Campos. What is your position on the proposed sale of the city's interim housing complex to the county? And if you were representing District 2, what position would you take on this sale and other actions in future regarding such sales? And explain your thinking along this line. And I think this is a complex question, so I'll allow 2 minutes.
Yeah, I understand that this issue is recently developing, and so I definitely want to make sure that we have all the information to make an informed decision for our neighborhoods. And I want to cite an article that the San Jose Mercury News recently put out about a family living on our train tracks here in District 2 along Great Oaks. And the father was quoted saying that it is almost impossible and incredibly challenging to find employment and housing with his criminal record. And so we need to think about the people who are actually experiencing homelessness and what it's going to take to get them off the streets. If we are not creating spaces where people who need the housing and putting up barriers to get that housing, we're going to continue to see people living in encampments on our streets. And we need real compassionate solutions that are going to address that issue. So we need to, one, make sure that we are holding community convenings like this, where as a government, the county and the city are providing all the information that our residents need to know about what is happening in our neighborhood, and make sure that it's an actual dialogue and not just one-sided conversation, because I think that's what's missing here in our ability to work together as a neighborhood to address these issues, is ongoing dialogue and communication about our concerns, our fears, but also how can we be a part of that solution? What steps can we take as neighbors to make sure that we are providing real solutions to this housing crisis? Because we all feel it, we are all impacted by it, and we all have a part to play in those solutions. And it takes real partnership and leadership from our government to work with our neighbors and our community members to make sure that those solutions are viable for our residents.
Thank you. I'm already on record as being against the sale of the property to the county. We did a press release on it from day one. I don't need any other information to make a decision, to base my decision on not wanting to let that proposal go through. I have an expertise, and my background has been in law enforcement and working with inmates. I retired from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department after 35 years, the last 7 of which I worked in our jail system, supervising correctional officers and maintaining supervision over, back then was approximately 2,000 inmates in hard lock and minimum camp facilities. The people they want to put out here are bad people. I don't care what they tell you. Some of these folks, yes, they need treatment, but the problem that we have is they're coming out of the jail system. Now, the people that have already been released from the jail system were the non-violent, non-threatening type of people that over the years we've managed to get out of the jail system. Now what we have in that jail system is what we refer to as the worst of the worst. Different levels of inmates, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 are your murderers and your people that are out here hurting people. 3 and 2, they're not that far away from it. Your number 1 are your minimum security inmates, which are supposed to be going out to that facility. Those those people classified as level 1s were previously level 2s and 3s. So they're bringing with them a lot of sophistication. That's not what you want in your community. It's not safe. It's bad enough that you want to mix people with mental health issues and sobriety issues and then put them in our community. That is not going to work. Everything and all the reports that are out there indicate that in spite of our best efforts, we are failing at this issue, failing miserably.
Thank you. Following up on Virginia, all right, if you use your 1 rebuttal card, 30 seconds.
Hello, thank you. So the reason why I said that we need time and more information to make a clear decision on this issue is because from my understanding, about half of the people who are already living at that site would qualify for this program, and so we wouldn't necessarily be moving people out and new people in. And so I think that it would take time for all of us to learn about that. But also, this is an optional diversion program that people have the opportunity to choose to participate in or not. And so that is a sign of good faith that these people are seriously trying to rehabilitate themselves and their lives and be part of our community. And so we need more time for that. Thank you.
I see another rebuttal card, Mrs. Lopez. 30 seconds.
To be told that we already have people in those facilities that are like that, I think alludes to the fact that there's a total lack of transparency in you being told that in fact that's what they had been doing all along.
Right.
If they've been putting inmates out there or people with that background and character and telling you that they were safe, homeless, and had no other issues, we've been lied to. And we've been lied to in a lot of other areas, and it continues to go on like that. Until we get somebody strong in City Hall and is willing to stand up, not only to those folks that desire to do more of that in our district, it's going to continue on. I'm strong enough to say no. I will listen to your issues, and I will represent you and only you and nobody else.
Thank you. Please ask the audience not to make any comments during the meeting. We're going to switch over to issues around some other topics. One of them is about parks. It looks like we will be coming into some budget constraints in the near future. The level of park maintenance has been seeing a decrease in services in D2. What priorities will you affect to ensure that our parks in D2 are maintained safe, green, and clean? Mr. Lopez?
Well, you mentioned the two primary things that concern me about our parks. One of them, they being safe, and the other that they be clean so families can go out to them and enjoy them on a regular basis. We have some parks in our district that are beautifully maintained, and our families are using them. But there are issues in the other areas where other parks aren't maintained. In terms of funding, what we have to do is establish a business practice, make this city business friendly so we could draw in more revenues, draw in more money to support those issues, not only our parks, but the arts and a number of other issues. Until we get people to come back into our core area, particularly the businesses, and they're shying away from it because of the homeless encampments, we're going to continue to struggle with our budgets. We need to fix that.
Same question, Ms. Campos?
We can definitely see that there is a need to maintain and improve the quality of our parks throughout District 2 and the city of San Jose. And so working with our council to find how we are going to fund that in partnership, not just with our council, but also with our business and our philanthropic partners here in Silicon Valley. I know that we can find ways to make sure that we are providing a good quality of life to our neighbors, and that includes green parks that are accessible year-round, because let's face it, we are living in a time where people are struggling, and the bare minimum that the city can do is provide clean, safe parks for our children, our families, our working individuals, our retiring adults to recreate in, to build community in. I live in the Vista Park neighborhood, and every weekend there are people playing softball, playing soccer, doing yoga, bringing their kids, their grandkids to the park. And so those are hubs for community. And as a council member, we need to make sure that we are not just looking within the city, but to our external partners for how we can make that a service we provide greatly. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll change now to some questions around traffic. D2 has seen an increase in speeding in most of our neighborhoods. What kind of calming practices would you put in place to minimize the speeding? And related to that is the question, how can we as residents get speed bumps expedited? So, because I've combined two questions, we'll make it a minute and a half. Ms. Campos, we'll start with you this time.
Thank you. So traffic safety is a huge concern for myself, and I think that there are many ways that we can tackle this. But first and foremost, we need to bring our community together through our neighborhood associations, and in the neighborhoods where we don't have neighborhood associations built yet, start to create those neighborhood associations so that we can create solutions that are really driven by your needs in our community. For some neighborhoods, a stop sign is enough to curb traffic, but for other neighborhoods, we need to do real design changes on our street to improve the flow of traffic and increase safety, whether it includes adding more street lights. These are conversations that the best people who are gonna know what solutions we need to try are the people who live in those neighborhoods. And so I can commit to showing up for our neighbors, bringing our partners together at the city and in our neighborhoods to make sure that we are prioritizing the streets where the urgency is needed most.
Same question, Mr. Lopez?
You know, I've had the opportunity to speak to some of you about your particular neighborhoods and the speed bumps that you're trying to get into, trying to get placed. I know it's a difficult process. It's a time-consuming process. The Department of Transportation generally sends out their people to do their surveys, and then from that point on, they make a determination as to if they're going to put a speed bump in there, and they are important. But the sad fact remains that in our district, it's not just speed bumps, it's people being killed at our intersections. On a monthly basis or every other month, we're hearing about something happening at Blossom Hill and Snell and other intersections where we have a lot of critical traffic flow. One of the reasons why a lot of this is happening, and not just that, the screeching tires at night, the donuts that people are doing, we don't have any law enforcement out there to stop it. The police officers are busy going call to call, and they're backing each other up. As it is now, we're losing more and more police officers on a regular basis. In the last year and a half, we've lost over 170 police officers. Not retirees, not fireys, but people that are quitting law enforcement in this county, in this city. So we need to do something to shore that up. We need to get more police officers out there, traffic officers, to work those specific areas where we can reduce some of these accidents and issues that you are now facing.
I'll follow up with a related question along that idea. Mr. Lopez, how would you address the efficient police resource distribution in our district and throughout San Jose?
Well, as it is now, as we speak today, there's only 4 officers out there in our district. 4. Sometimes they're less than that, depending on whether or not they're calling in sick. We need to fill that gap. How we do it? We have to look at different methods. We have to retain the staff that we do have so that it doesn't get any worse. It's very competitive. Not everybody wants to be a police officer. The events of the last years, the BLM movement and all the other things that have made the cops the bad guys, we did have bad actors. They were taken care of and are regularly addressed. But we need more police officers to deal with a lot of these other issues that you are so concerned about.
Ms. Lopez? What would you do, or how would you address the efficient police resource distribution? I think the implication there is the distribution of police throughout the city of San Jose, so that adequate numbers are indeed true.
Thank you for that question. I had the opportunity to participate in a ride-along with our police officers in San Jose over the summer and learned a lot through that experience. Like Mr. Lopez said, we have a very limited amount of police officers on patrol during shifts in our district, and they don't get to answer a lot of calls. They focus on the most high-intensity, high-need calls because they are so short-staffed. And so in addition to making sure that we are recruiting and retaining quality police officers for our city, we also need to be building stronger neighborhood connections so that we can also look out for each other in our neighborhoods. Because even when SJPD is staffed at its max capacity with the amount of officers that they need to function efficiently, we are still not going to have enough law enforcement to be on every corner in every neighborhood every hour of the day. So at some point we do need to understand who lives next door to you, who lives on your street, and how can we look out for one another. And that's where City Council comes in, having a leader who is going to make sure that we are prioritizing building connections in our communities, making sure that we have opportunities and resources to host block parties, to host neighborhood convenings, and to work with SJPD for a neighborhood watch program in every neighborhood so that we too can be part of building safe neighborhoods.
I'm going to make this a really quick 20-second response because you may or may not know the answer, and it's okay to say you don't. What is the plan for the police substation that is now a training academy? And I guess that's the one that is next to Costco. Got it. Ms. Campos, we'll start with you.
So, as I understand it, the plan for the police substation is for that to become a police station for us folks who live in South San Jose to be able to access police resources, file reports, and not have to go all the way downtown for those kinds of services. Oh, did you say 15 seconds?
It was a quick 20 seconds.
20 seconds, oh sorry. Okay, that's my answer.
Ms. Lopez.
Plan for the south substation is, as it exists now, it's going to be used for an academy. They can't staff it with officers because they can't get them. We're a city of, close to 1 million people. We have 900 officers that are assigned to our department. We really need about 1,700. It's my plan to get those 1,700 to work in that direction. Hire more cops, period.
Another quick one, because this will be the last one on traffic and policing. What will you do to improve biking infrastructure and cyclist pedestrian safety in the district? Can you do that in 45 seconds? Mr. Lopez, we'll start with you this one. What would you do to improve biking infrastructure and cyclist or pedestrian safety in the district?
The city is well on its way and has invested a lot of money in bike lanes throughout the city, throughout our heavy corridors. We're already seeing that in action. But we're also seeing an increase in pedestrian and traffic accidents. So we need to take a second look at that. If it's bicycles that you're all going to start going to work in, then that's what we should focus on. But I don't see that happening. I see you still in your cars, using that as your basic means of transportation. But it is important to have those bike lanes available for those that do use them. I should be out there because I'd be losing weight. I used to bike. I can't anymore because of my knees, but I think it is an important issue, but it has to be put in its full context.
Ms. Campos?
Well, I love this question. Thank you for whoever sent it in. We do have a lot of room for improvement to make sure that our infrastructure in South San Jose is more bike and pedestrian friendly. And one of the big visions that I have for us is to transform this corridor right around us, the Caudal 285 corridor, as our pedestrian, walkable, bikeable, friendly version, just like Willow Glen is a place where you can go walk, have boutiques, have restaurants, maybe even get some rooftop bars so we can have live music and entertainment down in South San Jose. We deserve places to recreate that are close to us, that are accessible to us, and so I look forward to bringing more of that activity so that we can have not just social but economic booms here in South San Jose as well.
Thank you. Now, back to a question that has to do with how you will communicate with your constituents. And I'm going to make this a 1 minute, but I'm going to combine two questions because I think you should be able to do it in 1 minute. How do you plan to involve neighborhood residents in the decision-making process in the district? And how will you ensure that there's two-way communication between your office and the residents in District 2? I think it's Ms. Campos, you'll start with this.
Okay. This is another question that I really appreciate because I think that this is the bread and butter of a great leader in City Council, someone who is responsive, attentive, and engaged with their community. And I can guarantee you that that is who I am right now as a leader, but also who I will continue to be as your city council member. I believe that there have been programs that have already worked for us in San Jose, like the Strong Neighborhoods Initiative, for those who remember redevelopment agency times. And those are programs that brought together neighbors to talk about the ways that we can improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods through bike lanes, through street repairs, through other types of development. So communication is a two-way street, and my door will always be open to anyone who wants to talk. I am here to listen. I am also going to make sure that we have staff that is just as hardworking as I am and responsive to the issues that you are bringing up. And I already hear a lot at our doors, so I look forward to staying in contact.
Mr. Lopez?
Probably one of the first places I want to start is by answering the phones at City Hall. When you call now, nobody answers. I want to hire a staff that is efficient. I want to hire the brightest and the best that we can bring into the district to work on some of these problems, to deal with the neighborhood associations. I think that's key in finding out exactly what each particular neighborhood issues are and addressing them. You have to have somebody at City Hall that's going to answer that phone. I want to be that guy to pick it up. I just don't want it to ring endlessly. I want you to call, and I'm going to say, hello, can I help you? Yeah, I want to talk to Councilman Lopez. Okay, hang on. Go. Yeah, what can I do for you? So I think that's just as important to be able to communicate directly with City Hall, but also for the City Hall to come out into our neighborhoods, to work with the neighborhood associations as we have, but I want to enhance those efforts, particularly now when you have such a great concern with some of the issues that are bombarding you, and in particular Monterey and Burnell. Monterey, the proposal by the county to purchase that place.
I'd like to throw in an occasional lightning round question. It's a 5-second answer. You might need 10 seconds. Okay? What's your favorite food, and what's your favorite restaurant? Start with you, Mr. Lopez. And of course, in D2 we're talking about.
Well, my favorite food is Mexican food, and my favorite restaurant is Terry's Place. My wife is named Terry, so I love her food. That's why I look the way I look.
You can't go wrong with pizza, and my favorite spot is the place that I got my first job, which is High Five Pizza, not too far from here.
It's great, thank you. Okay, now here's a question I like, because it's for people like me. Seniors in D2 and throughout San Jose are a growing population. What kind of activities and programs will you support to ensure quality of life is met for this growing demographic? And we'll start with you, Ms. Campos.
So bringing more opportunities for not just entertainments with shopping and dining, that's just one part of my vision for bringing more recreation to South San Jose. I also want to bring more arts and culture to our residents here. We have parking lots galore that we can put up festivals that celebrate the diverse people and cultures that we have living not just in South San Jose, but in San Jose and the larger Bay Area. We also can find ways to partner with our public transit agency to get more access to our parks. We do not do enough to make sure that all people have access to our parks when mobility is a challenge. And so I believe that it is time to make sure that we are putting our seniors first and making sure that their quality of life is just as great as the folks who are working, as the folks who are growing up here, and that most importantly, they can retire comfortably here in safe, permanent, affordable housing.
Well, being a senior citizen, that kind of hits home. I believe some of the biggest challenges that we have, that senior citizens face, are that physical and mental well-being, that unless it's kept active, you have a tendency to fall back. We have a number of seniors, a number of facilities within this district that could be utilized for senior citizen services, whether it's to do educational issues or even similar programs for dancing, physical, anything physical to keep us active or keep senior citizens active, but also address the mental challenges that they have. The problem with that being, we have to find the money to do that. And currently, you don't find a lot of that in our district. I would like to see more of it. I would like to see that enhanced, and I would like to see our seniors who have a wealth of knowledge more engaged with what we do, not only on the political, but on the social front.
Okay, thank you. Two quick questions, a yes and no question. Will you be attending the Zoom meeting on September the 11th with the mayor regarding the county sale of the Monterey Bernal property? Mr. Lopez? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, two yeses. Another quick question. Will you continue to support the neighborhood association in D2? And if so, how would you accomplish that? Maybe 15 seconds? 30 seconds. 15 seconds, 30 seconds? How would you support the D2 neighborhood association and how would you accomplish that? Mr. Lopez.
I'm currently involving and engaging myself with the District 2 neighborhood associations on a regular basis because I'm out there campaigning. So I'm listening to what they have to say. I'm attending their groups and their meetings. There's a lot of them, especially right now. There's a big concern across the district for a lot of issues that are like kind. Doesn't matter if you're on that side of 101 or this side, we all face the same problem. So I intend to continue to talk to people. I love getting out there and talking to people on a one-to-one basis as I'm working the districts. The problem being is that I can't get to everybody's door. Otherwise, I would be there.
Absolutely. Our neighborhood associations and our District 2 Neighborhood Leadership Council is the gem and the core of what makes our community thrive. And we need to make sure that there are opportunities for more residents to be aware of these opportunities to connect with our city. So one of the partnerships that I look forward to starting is with our schools, our middle schools, our high schools, and getting those youth out during summer, during winter vacation, to do neighborhood surveys and understand what our community needs are.
Got one final question because I think we're almost out of time. This has to do with the increasing the increasing concern about a rise in gang activities in parks, as well as increases in retail theft and some home invasion and robberies in the neighborhoods, as well as graffitis. How would you handle both of these problems with, again, gang activity in parks, theft, retail, graffiti? We'll start with you, Ms. Campos.
Thank you. So these are issues that are very difficult to tackle, and just like housing, it's going to take a lot of cross-sector collaboration to make sure that we are providing solutions that are actually going to work full term. And so one of the most important things that we can do is prevent these activities from happening to begin with. And that means making sure that people have the safety net services to avoid making wrong decisions. That means making sure that we are setting people up for success, whether that be providing preschool opportunities that make sure that students are at reading math level in middle school and high school so that they can move forward to graduate high school, get a job, be securely housed. And these are the resources that we can be working in partnership to make sure that we are providing strong foundations for youth so that they are productive members in our community. It's the best bang for your buck because it's $1 invested will get you $13 back, keeping people out of crime and other more expensive, costly measures. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Following up on what Pamela said, education is very important. It's important for us to teach our children not only the basics to survive in society, but also how to conduct themselves. The biggest problem we face as a state, as a city, is the issues coming down from the state. The state has released 30,000 inmates into our communities, closed down prisons. Now the county is following the same plan by putting inmates out in Bernal and Monterey. That's the same philosophy. We need to attack some of these issues at a local level. Education is certainly important. I come from a humble background where even as with the love that I had as a child, I did wrong. I was corrected, but I had a lot of people that worked with me, probation officers, teachers, community people. It takes a village to turn some kids around. I was turned around. We could turn a lot of these kids around. We could save a lot of them. But it's going to take a much bigger effort than a city councilman has the authority to do. We're going to have to deal with the school boards and the schools themselves. I'm prepared to engage them. I would love to get out there and talk to these kids.
Well, that was the last question we have time for. I want to thank both of our candidates for their responding to all the questions. I will say that there are a few we couldn't get to. I'll just let you know that there's concern about follow through at complaints made at meetings, and both of you will have to take that into consideration. And we have a very big concern. The Baroni Avenue is a street with big problems, and maybe two of you can find out more about that and want to tackle that. So this is the end of the question and answer period, and now we have the opportunity to hear closing statements from both of you. We started early with Mr. Lopez for introductions, so we'll start with closing statements with you, Ms. Campos. You have 90 seconds, not 90 minutes.
Well, thank you again all for taking time to join us this evening. As many of you know, I wasn't asked to run for city council, but I, like many of you, struggle with the current state of our city. We shouldn't have people living on our streets in tents and RVs. And I made the decision to run for city council because we do need bold leadership to tackle our city's toughest issues. And you can count on me to be a council member who works tirelessly to make sure that San Jose is a better place for all of us, especially those of us who live in South San Jose. I want to make sure that we have real solutions that are addressing our housing crisis. I will be the council member who makes our neighborhoods feel safe, keeping our parks green and well maintained. And in year one of my work plan, my office will start a District 2 business association and help increase participation in our neighborhood associations to support the social and economic vibrancy of South San Jose. And on day one, on November 6th, I will hit the ground running, working with our county, state, and federal partners to ensure our residents have exceptional quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Could you repeat the question one last time?
This is your closing statement.
Okay, thought it was a question. You know, I want to thank you all again for coming tonight and everybody that put this event together. I retired from law enforcement years ago, but I still continue to see the crime that you all are affected by on a regular basis. And it hasn't stopped, it's gotten worse. And it will continue to get worse until you get somebody in office that's strong enough to stand up to the status quo policies that hold you hostage. As a former sheriff sergeant and a deputy sheriff, I was a hostage negotiator. I feel that we are being held hostage currently by some of the policies that keep us from feeling safe, from having clean neighborhoods. Well, there's a whole gamut of issues that can be attacked. I intend, like Pamela said, to hit the road, hit the pavement on day one and run with an agenda for cleaner streets, for safer streets, for more police officers, and to work on the homeless issue that continues to plague our district. Until we get some of those issues resolved or at least diffused, we will continue to live as we live now. And I hear a lot of people saying we have issues that are not being addressed. I will address those issues, and I will address them on your behalf, not somebody else's behalf that has supported me to get here, but I'm here for District 2 residents. I'm here to represent you, and I'm here to represent you only.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I want to thank our two candidates for being here tonight and sharing their visions with you, and I think you can see that they have very different points of views. I also want to thank each one of you in our audience for being with us and for really taking the time to be engaged in the political process, because it's important for you to make the right decision. I just want to say on behalf of the members of the League of Women Voters that we do hands-on work. As you can see here tonight, we're all volunteers. We never endorse a candidate or a political party, but we do take a strong interest in issues that affect our community. For example, we commented on the recent city program on reforestation and have been very involved with the support of many of the issues around the city of San Jose as well as Santa Clara. Our strong belief is that we as a country must have a strong democracy that benefits all of us. And we hope that you feel the same way. And just as a reminder, voting starts because ballots will be going out the first week in October. But you have until October 21st, if you have not already registered to vote, or if you've moved, or if you've changed addresses, you should make those changes. Online registration is also available at the Secretary of State's website. So please do remember to vote November 5th. And because our county was one of the first major counties to have what's called Voters' Choice, we have a number of polling places or Voters' Choice centers that can provide for all of your needs. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and best of luck to our two candidates and to all of you. Good night.
Don't forget to vote.